Hello, welcome to this week's Forex Outlook here at xm.com. I'm Rafi Barajan, currency analyst, and here with me is our chief economist, Michalis Orengiadis. So, Michalis, the dollar has appeared to be losing some momentum. It was doing better at the start of the week, but we had that soft inflation data after the years yesterday. So what's changed now for the greenback? Is it going to be able to resume its rally, or is this it for the current dollar uptrend?
That's right, Rafi. It's exactly as you said. The dollar was having a strong week up to around midweek. Then on Thursday, it ran into some selling, and the softer than expected inflation data was another catalyst for some profit taking on the dollar. And bear in mind that the dollar has had a long positive run, so some profit taking is to be expected. I don't think the inflation numbers are a game changer in themselves, but they were certainly an excuse for profits to be taken. The US economy is looking strong in the medium term. This is likely to lead to more Fed rate hikes. So I think that it will be more of a pause, but it remains to be seen, of course.
Now, we had the Bank of England policy meeting this week. They kept interest rates unchanged as was expected. The market has interpreted Mark Carney as being rather dovish. On the whole, though, we didn't see any major change in the language used by the Bank of England and by Mark Carney himself. We saw the pound falling to 4-month lows before recovering slightly. So where can the pound go next? Are we likely to see a rate hike by the Bank of England this year?
Yes, but it could be later in the year. The August meeting is also now coming into question whether they are going to raise in August or not, when they are going to have updated forecasts. But it looks like the downgrade of the growth and inflation forecasts did give a dovish tone to the meeting. So I think that the pound is not going to have much support from the interest rate outlook, unfortunately. We'll see whether there's any positive developments regarding Brexit, and that's an open question also. So I think the pound was kind of rescued by the weak dollar, and it didn't see even bigger losses. It's worth noting that another central bank was also on the dovish side. That was the Reserve Bank of New Zealand, and that hit the loonie, which was one of the week's losers, although today it is making up some of the ground.
Yes, the Reserve Bank of New Zealand was surprisingly dovish, and we are seeing a bit of a rebound in commodity-linked currencies. Other than the Kiwi, we saw Aussie rebounding as well as the Canadian dollar. The Canadian dollar, of course, being boosted by higher oil prices. We had the US pulling out of the Iran nuclear deal, though prices have eased a little bit this morning. But what is the outlook now for the oil market and the Canadian dollar?
Yes, it will be. It's interesting that not only did the US pull out of the Iranian nuclear deal, but we also had an exchange of missile fire between Israel and Iranian forces based in Syria. So there are some regional tensions, and that can always help the oil price because there is nervousness about continued supply. Now, that is not a huge threat for the oil market right now, and it didn't lead to any big risk-off moves, especially in stocks, but certainly something to watch, and for oil traders, something to keep an eye on. And for the Canadian dollar, it was indeed helped by the stronger oil prices as a very big oil exporter. Having said all this, Rafi, what do we have to look forward to for next week? I don't think it's particularly busy, but what do you think are going to be the highlights with respect to the things that we've talked about already also?
That's right. It's going to be relatively quieter next week, but we're still going to have some important data releases. The highlight will probably be the Japanese GDP numbers, as we're going to get to see the first reading of first quarter growth out of Japan. We could see a small contraction in economic growth ending 8 consecutive quarters of uninterrupted growth. We're going to have also inflation numbers out of Japan as well, plus job numbers out of the UK and Australia. Canadian inflation retail sales are also going to be released next week. In the US, though, the main focus will be retail sales, plus some housing data. But apart from that, it's going to be not as exciting as the past week.
Okay, then I will look forward to next week to see what happens, whether what we saw this week is going to continue. The focus, of course, very much on the dollar, and whether it's just a correction before resuming the rally that we have seen lately. Thank you very much, Rafi. Thank you everyone for watching, and have a great day.